Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Entertainment Brick Show. Today, I am starting a new, section of a ongoing series that I have where I talk about the future of LEGO games, and I basically design LEGO game levels for certain things. So, for instance, I've done Marvel, I've done all the phases, I've done the Infinity Sagas, movies, the Infinity War and Endgame. I've also done some of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows, which I'm still kind of working through as well. And now I am starting a new, sub-series, I guess, in this overall series, sort of, if that makes any sense. And that new sub-series is DC, the DCEU. Kind of not great as the DCEU, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. The DCU, the James Gunn, Peter Safran DCU, is kind of far away. I was going to say it's on the horizon, but it's, 2025. That's kind of a long while away, but it is going to be here, sooner. We know when it's going to be here. We know when it's going to be here, right? It's going to start on, I think, July 11th, 2025 or something like that, with the Superman movie. So with that, I wanted to prepare for it, and I wanted to get ready for it, and I wanted to continue this series and also have, representation for Marvel, representation for DC, and obviously there's Star Wars as well. So with that, I forced myself to rewatch all the DCEU movies. Some of them were fine, most of them weren't great. I rewatched all the DCEU movies, and I've designed a LEGO DCEU video game that just encompasses everything, minus Man of Steel, because LEGO Batman 3 had already done a DLC for Man of Steel, so I didn't really end up doing something for Man of Steel, which I probably should have, but I'm not going to go back and rewatch that movie again just for that. But anyways, basically what we have here is for a main story, this is going to be much more based off of the LEGO Marvel Infinity Saga video game rather than the LEGO Star Wars one, because this is going to feature a main story. Then there's going to be 5 extra bonus levels that are included in a base game, quote unquote. And then there's also going to be DLC packs and such. So much more LEGO Infinity Saga, video game based rather than the Star Wars version, which is just kind of an episode per level of a show. This is going to be much more based off the movies and such. So we have a full main story mode based off of Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is the 4-hour Justice League movie, which I found to be significantly better than the Joss Whedon Justice League. So, that's going to be the main story. It's going to be all Zack Snyder's thing. It was kind of tough to make 10 levels out of a 4-hour movie, I found, because there was a lot of talking, a lot of discussion in the movie, because, there was obviously action scenes. There was also a lot of talking and exposition and explaining what's going on. So, there's a lot of, it's kind of similar to Andor in that way, where there's a lot of, scenes I've had to kind of rework to make them a playable part of a level. So I wanted to just kind of put that out there, considering, that's going to be the main story mode. There's going to be a lot of kind of scenes that are going to be kind of reworked to make them fit into a LEGO level and make them an actual playable part of the level. And there's going to be a lot of each part is going to be a lot of scenes kind of packed into one at times and stuff. So it's a little bit messy. It's not, my strongest LEGO video game design, but it's still one that I wanted to do because I'm a big DC fan. Not so much the DCEU movies, but I'm a big DC fan, and I wanted to kind of have, some of the big 3 franchises under my belt here for LEGO level design. So, obviously, again, LEGO Marvel, we have done and are going to continue to do when Phase 5 ends, but that's going to be in 3 years or 2 years or whatever. Then there's also LEGO Star Wars, or the Star Wars Disney Plus video game, which has been all the Star Wars live action TV shows on Disney Plus. That's also going to continue with, Mando 3. At the time of this recording, Mando 3 isn't over yet, so that's why I'm just saying Mando 3 is, and stuff. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And now we're on the DCEU, which is some older stuff, but, I still want to kind of have all 3 under my belt here. So, with that being said, let's run down the rules here, kind of the explanation of what I basically do in these videos if you're new. I basically design levels based off of, in this case, the DCEU movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League, with each part of the movie, or, some sort of part of the movie, turned into a traditional LEGO game level with 3 separate parts per level. I outlined the part of the episode the part of the movie / level that you play, the characters you play as, and the objective of the level while playing. Just want to get that out of the way. And in this video, we are going to be highlighting the first 5 levels, or 5 parts, first 5 levels of Zack Snyder's Justice League, as well as there's going to be a prologue level. And then in the next video is going to be the last 5 levels and an epilogue level. So that is how we're going to do it here. Let's just get into it. I hope the explanation made sense, but let's just get into it. Here we go. So let's start with our prologue level to just kind of get a general understanding of how this kind of works. So in the beginning of the Zack Snyder Justice League movie, they feature a scene, or kind of like a couple of scenes from Batman vs. Superman, because that was also a Zack Snyder movie. So for the prologue level, it's only going to feature 1 part. I know I said previously that each level is going to feature 3 parts per level. The prologue level is just going to be 1 part, and it's going to be, from that scene in Batman vs. Superman. I titled this part Dawn vs. Night just because it was just, whatever title to come up with. And in this part, you're going to be playing as Batman in his outfit from Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman in her outfit from Batman vs. Superman, and Superman from his outfit in Batman vs. Superman. I don't really know if much of their outfits changed too much, but I just wanted to highlight that just in case, that they were based off the Batman vs. Superman designs. And the objective here is to have a boss fight with Doomsday. So for the prologue level, you're going to have a boss fight with Doomsday from Batman vs. Superman, just to kind of get, just kind of get things going here. I know some Lego games have had prologue levels in the past, such as the Lego Movie video game from 2014 had a prologue level. Also, what else is at a prologue level? There were a couple of them that I think had a prologue. The Lego Ninjago movie had a prologue level. So this is going to be the prologue level for this game, again based off of the scene from Batman vs. Superman, which was somewhat highlighted in the beginning of Zack Snyder's Justice League. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch it. It's very, very good. So, yeah. This prologue level is just going to have 1 part. Again, playing as Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. And the objective is to have a boss fight with Doomsday. Now let's get into the first level of the Zack Snyder Justice League story mode for this game. The first level of this Zack Snyder's Justice League video game is going to be level 1, called the Mother Boxes. So this is the first part. Now we're moving on to part 1 of level 1. The first part of level 1 here is the 3 mother boxes scene, where basically we are introduced to where all the mother boxes are that Steppenwolf is going to be going after. So in this level here, it's kind of going to be confusing because there's a lot of scenes mashed up into one part of the level just to kind of make this a playable part of the level. So it's going to be utilizing the LEGO Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars change character, change setting mechanic from that video game. If you're not familiar with that video game, basically there's a mechanic in LEGO Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars, where you're able to play as, let's say, Anakin, for instance, and the co-op character is playing as Obi-Wan, but they're in 2 completely separate places. And if you played single player, you would not only be able to change characters when you press Y or change the character change button, you would also change where you are in the level. So just to kind of preface what that mechanic is, because I do utilize it a lot in this game here. Again, back to this part 1 here, the 3 mother boxes. On one side, you're going to be playing as Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, but the Victor Stone version of Cyborg, I guess, where he's just kind of like a regular human or whatever, has the cyborg parts, but not like the full cyborg look. You know what I mean. So Victor Stone you play as, and the objective is to and then on the other side, you play as an Amazon warrior. Then in this part, you also transition to playing as Mira and an Atlantis warrior as well. So again, a little confusing that there's kind of like a transition. There's like kind of like 3 separate parts in this one part of the level. I know it's a really confusing way to start it off. That's just kind of how the movie started off, so I wanted to highlight everything. The objective is to go through where the mother boxes are. Similar system to the LEGO Marvel Avengers Wanda Dream sequence, where you get like quick little vignette moments in the story mode with some of these characters in the levels here, where you just kind of have, like, for instance, like there was a part with Captain America and Peggy Carter where you basically just have to walk up to each other, and then it switches to like Natasha Romanoff. You have to shoot a couple targets, then it switches to Thor in that LEGO Marvel Avengers dream sequence. that was considered a part of a level in that part of the game. And that's kind of how I'm envisioning it this way. It's going to be very, very quick moments that you play through, but it's still going to be, moments that you play through. So for one side where you're playing as Victor Stone, the objective is to reach the closet door, which is where the mother box is. So you're going to have to kind of like solve a couple of very simple puzzles to basically open the closet door and see the mother box. And then on the other side, playing as the Amazon warrior first, you're going to be having to approach the mother box within that like Coliseum arena area. And then when you transition in that same side, I guess, when you transition from the Amazon warrior to Mira and the Atlantis warrior, you then have to enter the mother box temple in Atlantis, which is the objective there. And then that transitions you to the next part of the level, or next part of level 1. Again, part 1 here is a very, very confusing start. I'm sure it will get much easier to kind of understand and follow if, again, you are new to this. If you've seen previous videos, it might be a little bit... You might want to check those videos out, because it might be a better way to how I've explained it, just because, again, this might be a little confusing. So, next is part 2 of level 1 here, which is, when the scene in Iceland. The scene in Iceland, where you play as Bruce Wayne in his outfit from Iceland, that kind of variation, that look that he had, as well as Arthur Curry in his outfit from Iceland, which is basically just Jason Momoa shirtless. So, the objective here is to walk through Iceland to reach the water. So I'm kind of thinking this is going to be a much more puzzle-oriented part of the level here, where again, you're going to be playing as Bruce Wayne and Arthur Curry, who have certain abilities. For Bruce Wayne, it's going to be much more intelligence-based abilities, and for Arthur Curry, it's going to be much more strength-based abilities. And the objective is to kind of walk through this little Iceland village, solve a few puzzles, which will eventually you'll eventually make your way on this like linear path to the kind of like the shore, where then in the scene in the movie, Arthur Curry just kind of walks into the freezing cold water and just kind of goes under and such. So that's kind of the scene that you're going to be playing through there. And then part 3 is going to be the fallen hero kind of scene, I guess, where it is also going to be utilizing that same LEGO Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars change character, change setting mechanic, where on one side you'll play as Bruce Wayne, and again, his attire from Iceland, that same outfit, that variation. And the objective there is to reach Alfred at the airport. So there's just going to be basically, you're going to be on the open airport, I don't know, I don't want to say lane, but like the open airport, like, runway, and you have to kind of solve puzzles to make your way up to reach Alfred, which will trigger a cutscene. And then on the other side there, you play as Lois Lane in her jacket attire. I just wanted to highlight that just in case, because she does have different variations or different looks in the movie. And the objective there is to visit the Superman statue in whatever city that was. I believe it was Metropolis. So as Lois Lane, you're going to be solving a few puzzles throughout the city of Metropolis to eventually reach the Superman statue. And then that also triggers a cutscene where that'll kind of end level 1. Again, this is going to be much more of a kind of a tough movie to turn into a full-blown LEGO game, because again, there's a lot of talking, a lot of exposition, rather than too much action. So just wanted to point that out, that there are going to be a lot of like, solving puzzles, a lot of puzzle-based levels here to kind of solve some puzzles to reach certain points for levels. And again, making 10 levels off of this 1 4-hour movie was, not the easiest of tasks, I guess. So that is level 1 regardless. Again, it was a little confusing start, so I apologize. Level 2 is much more straightforward, so let's get into level 2. So level 2 is called Battle at Themyscira, and this is kind of like the first action, the main action sequence in the Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, where with part 1, we start with the bank heist sequence, where basically this bank thief, I guess, I don't know, whatever you want to call him, and his gang infiltrate this bank where a bunch of people are, and they go and kind of, steal all the money in the bank, basically. And that's an opening sequence to introduce Wonder Woman in the movie. So in this part of the level, you're going to be playing as Wonder Woman, and I kind of found it difficult to find another co-op character to play as in this scene, just considering LEGO has that rule about, co-op character play. You have to have 2 characters to play as per level, so that a co-op person, another person, can join and play alongside. So I kind of had to really stretch for a character to play as in this sequence, just because it was mostly a Wonder Woman-based sequence. It was just kind of her on her own. So I said there was like a SWAT soldier. There was like a SWAT team that was there to kind of surround the building, but obviously they weren't really able to do too much. So I just said one character plays as Wonder Woman, the other character plays as like a SWAT soldier. I don't know. Kind of a boring character to play, I know, but there was no one else in the scene, so I don't know. And the objective here is to have a boss fight with that bank thief, like, leader, whoever that was. I actually don't know if he was a specific character from DC Comics or if he was just some random bank, criminal, bank robber. So regardless, he would be a boss fight in this sequence where basically you're going to be in the bank and he's just going to have a certain amount of hearts. He's going to have a lot of goons, and you basically have to just take him down a couple times and also take down some of his goons, playing again as Wonder Woman and the SWAT soldier. Then part 2 of level 2 here is Steppenwolf Arrives, where this is going to be the scene on Themyscira, where you're going to be playing as Hippolyta. I'm totally going to be butchering some of these names here, but Yoboia, and Epion, maybe it's Epion, it might be Epion, Ioba and Epion, maybe, I think. So basically, they're Ioba and Epion, I'm just going to say that's what they are, what their names are. They are Amazon warriors that were featured in this scene from, what I kind of looked into, some research. And for Ioba, to kind of make them unique characters to play as, Ioba will have a sword as her weapon, and what did I say? Ioba and Epion, and Epion will have a bow and arrow to kind of have some difference in the characters that you play as, and then again, also you play as Hippolyta. And the objective here is to have a boss fight with Steppenwolf and the Parademons. So this is going to be based off the scene in that actual Coliseum arena where Steppenwolf first arrives with his Parademons, and all of the Amazon warriors just start fighting all these Parademons in this sequence, and then eventually Hippolyta escapes. But before that, they have kind of a fight with all these Parademons and with all with Steppenwolf himself. So that is going to be this sequence here. You're going to have a boss fight with Steppenwolf, the first boss fight of Steppenwolf in this part of the level. Then that transitions to part 3 of level 2, which is going to be kind of a unique part, kind of something similar I've done with some of the Lego Star Wars Disney Plus video game levels, where it's just kind of like for the Lego Star Wars ones, it was the ship flying sequences where you're just going to be kind of on a set straight path where you're going to be flying a certain way, and you kind of control on a 2D space, and then you also be able to fire or attack, basically, to kind of shoot some stuff down. So that's kind of how I'm envisioning this next sequence, which is the kind of the horse riding sequence, where you're going to be playing as Hippolyta as a horse rider, and again, there's going to be another name I butcher, but Venelia, who's also going to be riding a horse. Basically, in the sequence, they were the Amazon warriors were riding horses to escape with the mother box, and Steppenwolf was kind of following after them, and you got to play through that because that was an awesome scene. So to play through that, it's basically going to be it's going to be similar to, the best way to describe it would be Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego The Hobbit. There were a couple of sequences where you were just kind of on a set linear pathway, and you're playing as characters who were riding horses, and you would just kind of be on this again set linear pathway, fighting and attacking and stuff, and still able to attack some enemies that were coming near you and such. But you were mostly just continuously moving, and you'd be able to control where the horse is on a 2D scale, I guess, if anything, would be the best way to describe it. So that's kind of how I'm envisioning this here, except again, it's going to be DC, and you're going to be playing as Hippolyta and Venelia, riding horses and attacking all the parademons that are kind of flying around and such. So again, the objective there is to just kind of ride through Themyscira Plains to escape Steppenwolf with the mother box, and then that ends level 2. Next here is level 3, which is titled The Age of Heroes, and for part 1 of level 3, this is kind of when the threat here is established, where this is going to play through 2 separate scenes from Zack Snyder's Justice League that kind of are near each other. They don't really necessarily run in tandem, but they're scenes that are kind of near each other, where it is going to be utilizing the Lego Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars change character, change setting mechanic. On one side, you'll be playing as Bruce Wayne, and the objective is to power up the Bat computer. So in the scene, basically, Batman is, I believe, I don't actually remember if that was the Batcave or not, or that was considered the Batcave or not. I don't think it was, because it was more like a warehouse kind of hangar area, because that's where they eventually have the flying fox in there. But it was kind of more like a hangar area, if anything, would be the best way to describe it. So in that, basically, you're going to be playing as just Bruce Wayne in this area, solving puzzles and such to basically power up the Bat computer. So I'm kind of thinking there's going to be like 3 generators that you just kind of have to find around the area, solve a few puzzles, and eventually they power up. And, once you get all 3, it triggers a cutscene. Then on the other side, you're going to be playing as Hippolyta. And this is a scene that I kind of had to change a little bit to make it more of a playable part of the level. And as Hippolyta, you're going to have to kind of walk around this area in Themyscira to build a giant crossbow to fire the flaming arrow, which then signals Wonder Woman. So I'm kind of thinking, I believe there was a scene. I believe what it was there was Hippolyta like shot a flaming arrow into a pile of wood, and then that signaled another person in like a mountain to do the same, and then that signaled the next person and the next person, and eventually it reached all the way to Wonder Woman, who saw the last one and was like, "Oh, we gotta go do this now." So with that, to make this more of again a playable part of the level, instead of just firing a bow and arrow to light a flaming thing to light something up, you would have to do like the Lego way and build a giant like crossbow to fire a flaming arrow to then kind of like set the wood on fire, whatever. I believe I'm remembering that scene right, but regardless, that is basically what you're going to be doing in part 1. Then for part 2 of level 3 here, this is kind of when Wonder Woman learns about the prophecy of Darkseid and such. So you're going to be playing as Diana Prince in her curator kind of outfit, as well as just some random Amazon warrior. Again, LEGO has the rule of co-op character play so that another person can play alongside you. So there had to be some sort of co-op character to play as. In this case, I was really at a stretch here because there's a lot of scenes where it just features one character, and in this case, that is one of those scenes. So the Amazon warrior is just going to be, the secondary character to play as. And then the objective is to go through the temple to get to the wall paintings. So basically, in the scene, I had to stretch the scene a little bit as well. In the scene, basically, Diana Prince only just kind of walks down a couple of stairs, or a staircase to get to where she needs to go for the wall paintings, the wall carvings. But to make this more of a playable part, you would have to kind of solve puzzles and such as Diana Prince and as this Amazon warrior to eventually kind of make your way through this temple tunnel area, whatever you want to call it. And then that once you reach the wall carvings, it eventually triggers a cutscene, and then then you go to the next part. And part 3 of level 3 here is Atlantis Needs an Aquaman, which is where you play as Arthur Curry in his shirtless variation, and then you also play as Volko in his Zack Snyder's Justice League outfit, and because he did have a different look from Aquaman versus this movie. And the objective is to swim through Atlantis to find a place to have a discussion. So this is going to be kind of again, another puzzle-oriented part of the level here to play through, where again, you're going to be playing as Arthur Curry and Volko, both with, again, Arthur Curry with strength abilities and Volko with more like acrobatic abilities and such. And you're going to be kind of making your way solving puzzles through Atlantis to eventually reach like a spot where you would have a discussion. The scene, I had to really play up this scene to make it a playable part of the level. It was mostly just a discussion between Arthur Curry and Volko, but considering I was running out of scenes to use, I was like, all right, I should probably kind of make this scene something playable to kind of end this level out on. So that is the end of level 3. Now we move on to level 4. Level 4 is just titled Darkseid, because this is kind of the scene where we get to learn about Darkseid. So for part 1 of level 4 here, it's going to be much more of a puzzle-oriented part of the level here, where you're going to be playing as Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince in her kind of, regular outfit from the movie. And the objective here is to fix up the Flying Fox. So kind of what I'm thinking here is going to be taking place in that, like I said, that Batcave hangar area, whatever that Bruce Wayne was staying in. And the objective is to kind of fix up, again, the Flying Fox, which is the giant, like, drop ship that Batman has. And for this, I'm thinking it's probably going to be, like, 5 different things you have to kind of accomplish as Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince, solving puzzles and stuff in this little hangar area to basically, again, fix up the Flying Fox. So I'm thinking, like, maybe you have to readjust a couple, like the wings on both sides. That's 2 things. And then you have to, like, power it up. And then you have to have the Batmobile, enter the Flying Fox to have it ready or something. I don't know. Whatever kind of works for this sequence, just to kind of be a much more puzzle-oriented part of this level here. Again, fixing up the Flying Fox. Then for part 2 of level 4 here, it is going to be Darkseid Arrives. This is when the, flashback, if you want to call it that, where Diana Prince explains who Darkseid is. this is that giant war scene, which is super duper cool. Remind me a lot of like Lord of the Rings. So that's kind of how you're going to be playing through it as well. So in this scene, or in this part of the level, you're going to be playing as Zeus, Yalin Gur, which is the Green Lantern that was fighting alongside everybody, the King of Men, Atlan, and Artemis, I believe, were all the characters there. And the objective is to fight through this giant war against the parademons. So I'm kind of envisioning this. There were a lot of like battle sequences that happened in like the Lego Hobbit games and Lego Lord of the Rings games. I'm going to say this is going to be much similar to that, where again, you're going to be playing as this cast of 5 characters, running through this battle, fighting a bunch of parademons and such, and solving a couple of puzzles to kind of make your way through crowds of people fighting, just to kind of keep, moving, making your way forward, eventually reaching Darkseid to where he is, which then triggers a cutscene and leads into part 3. So again, part 2, just going to be a lot of like fighting. It's going to be a lot of fighting certain amount of enemies to then move on to like the next crowd of enemies. Again, as these 5 characters, Zeus, Yalin Gur, King of Men, Atlan, and Artemis. And then part 3 here is actually going to be a full-blown boss fight with Darkseid, where you play as Zeus and the King of Men. So you lose 3 characters here, but you play as Zeus and the King of Men, and you have a full-blown boss fight with Darkseid in this giant battle scene. So, yeah, I mean, again, full-blown Darkseid boss fight. I know in this scene, Darkseid, I think, had like a staff or something like that, I think I remember that correctly. So, he'll be obviously a big figure, and he might be, really tough to defeat. Obviously, in the scene, they do defeat him. So once you do defeat Darkseid, that'll kind of kickstart the next cutscene to end the level here. But I feel like ending this level on a giant boss fight with Darkseid would be pretty cool. The next level and final level that is going to be outlined in this video is called Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. This is level 5. And for part 1 of this level 5 here is going to be the Speedster scene, where on one side, this is going to be utilizing the LEGO Star Wars Clone Wars 3, the change character, change setting mechanic, where on one side, you're going to be playing as Barry Allen in his, just regular Barry Allen attire, and the objective is to save Iris West from the car crash in slow motion. So kind of what I'm thinking, well, for the scene, basically, there's a car crash sequence with Iris West, and Barry Allen, or the Flash, goes into, like super speed mode, and everything kind of goes in slow motion, and he just kind of resets everything so that everybody is all right. And that is what I'm thinking here with this, is basically it's going to be a like you in the area that you play through, it's going to be like frozen, right? Like, so Iris West's car is like in the air at this point, and like everything's kind of all messed up. And as Barry Allen, you're going to be solving puzzles to basically kind of fix everything. So you have to like find a way to make your way up to Iris West and pull her out of the car before the car crashes and stuff. It won't be like a time section or anything, but it's just going to be like this moment frozen in time, and you play as Barry Allen through that moment. So I figured that would be kind of a cool, unique thing to do. And then on the other side, you're going to be playing as an Atlantean soldier, and the objective is to fight the parademons and like this, whatever the spider things were called. This is going to be based off that very quick scene where basically Steppenwolf and a couple of parademons find these 2 Atlantean soldiers who eventually give them information on, what's going on with the mother box in Atlantis. So again, as the this Atlantean soldier, you're basically just going to have it's going to basically be like a fighting sequence where you're going to be fighting some parademons and some of those spider things and such. And then eventually that triggers the next part of the level. And part 2 is the recruits, I guess, in this case. This part of the level will also be utilizing the LEGO Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars change character, change settings mechanic, where on one side you'll be again playing as Barry Allen, and the objective as Barry Allen is to stop the criminal in the convenience store. This is kind of like some of the clips that Batman was watching on the Bat computer. You're going to be able to play through those. And again, as Barry Allen, there's the clip of him stopping the criminal in the convenience store. So kind of what I'm thinking is maybe it will also be another like slow motion sequence or freeze frame sequence where in this convenience store you're going to be playing as Barry Allen, and you have to kind of solve a couple of puzzles to basically make it so that the criminal, the criminal that's robbing the convenience store like trips on something or something. I don't really know exactly how it would work, but something along those lines, just to kind of have it more of like a puzzle-oriented part. I really had to kind of stretch to figure out what would be the best way to make this a playable part of the level. And then on the other side, you're going to be playing as Silas Stone, which is Victor Stone's father. And the objective here is to power up Victor Stone. So this is obviously from the clip that Bruce Wayne was watching, where Silas Stone was powering up Victor Stone for the first time, or Cyborg for the first time. And I'm thinking in this part, you're just going to have to kind of solve puzzles as Silas Stone in this room to basically get Victor Stone started up. So you're going to have to find a generator, solve a few puzzles to power up have the generator power up Cyborg, and then that triggers into the next part of the level here. And part 3 of level 5 here is the Cyborg, where again, you're going to be utilizing the LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars change character, change setting mechanic. And on one side, you're going to be playing as Cyborg himself, so full-blown Cyborg, and the objective is to go throughout the city, learning how to be Cyborg. And kind of what I'm thinking here is, I believe it was Gotham was where he was. So I'm kind of thinking here, you're going to have different abilities where you're going to have to, learn how to fly. You're going to have to, reach some point where you're going to have to learn how to fly or, glide for the first time and then fly or something like that. Just kind of building up some of your abilities and kind of, training as Cyborg to basically use some, the weapons that he has and such. And then on the other side, you're going to be playing as Victor Stone. So I know Cyborg and Victor Stone, but in this sequence where Cyborg was kind of learning the full potential of his abilities, Victor Stone, they were kept cutting back to Victor Stone within Cyborg's mind, kind of being the one that operates Cyborg himself. So there was a sequence where he gave a lot of money to a poor woman who, was had no money in her bank account, but Victor Stone within Cyborg's mind was able to kind of make money, appear in her account and such. So that was kind of one of the scenes there. And as Victor Stone, you're going to be exploring Cyborg's mind to try and activate different abilities. So again, to kind of make this a playable part of the level, you're going to be playing as Victor Stone within Cyborg's mind, solving puzzles to then allow for Cyborg on the outside or the other side of this part of the level to use his abilities properly. So you kind of have to wait on the second co-op character to do his thing, and then as Cyborg, you're able to do your thing, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of how I'm envisioning it. You kind of work together with your co-op character or with your co-op partner to basically power up Cyborg and be able to use Cyborg properly in this part of the level. And that ends level 5. So there you have it. That is the first of many videos to come for this LEGO DCEU video game. Again, we're starting with this Zack Snyder's Justice League main story mode. This is the first 5 levels here. The next video is going to be the last 5 levels in the epilogue level for the main story mode. And then we're going to kind of get into all the other stuff that is also included with this LEGO DCEU game. So, yeah, just another sub-series in this series that I've been doing here. So if you enjoyed that video, do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. See ya.